This tutorial is all about the detail brush. This brush has such a special place in my heart. I absolutely love it. So this brush does a medium coverage, maybe a little bit on the lighter medium side. It is perfect for applying your highlight color, for doing your contour, a little bit more detail work, hence the name. Obviously, you can use the smaller side for applying that brightener shade. You can use the smaller side for doing a nose contour. You can use the flat side to do nose contour. This brush is phenomenal. So today I'm going to be talking all things detail brush. So like I typically do, I am going to start with my highlight shade, and I am just stippling that on. So we are going to put this in the areas as if we were to have a beard. And then up here. Under the eyes, just to brighten up a bit. Under the eye here. And then I'm going to take this brush and do a T across my forehead and down my nose. So there is my highlight color. Again, I do use the big side of the brush, stippling it on. Again, if you want a lighter hand, hold the brush a little bit further back. Now, for my brightener shade, if you're someone that uses a brightener shade, I am going to flip over to the smaller side, and I am going to apply that at my eyes and my forehead and center of my face. Now, you will notice in a lot of videos, I do typically not show nose contour. That is a whole different animal. It is, there are so many different techniques and things like that. So I am going to save that for the professionals. I do have a couple videos. So if you are someone that chooses to do your nose for contour, you will carry that brightener down the center. So I'm going to blend this in just a little bit. And there is my brightener. Okay, on to the contour. This is what this brush is amazing at. So I'm going to use, you can do either end. You can, let's do both. So you can take the small end and draw a line and get very, very precise and figure out exactly where it needs to be and draw that line and draw that line. Or you can use the big side of the brush, which is typically what I do, and draw that line. The only reason I use the big side of the brush is because, like I've said in other videos, I feel like you can already start the blending process when applying it. So I put it on my brush, I turn that flat end, and I feather it on and stamp. So I feel like I'm already blending versus just using the smaller end. You can totally do either. See how we've already started blending, and that's a more concentrated application. Do either one. And then whatever's left on the brush, I usually just stick underneath here. So for blending, let's push it straight up and soften up that line, not taking it away, but softening it up. Same here, pushing it upward and pushing it upward. That is it. Now, if I was somebody that wanted to use bronzer, I would still use the big end, tap into my bronzer, and dust it on. I do try to do a little bit lighter tap in my bronzer with this brush because unlike the blush bronzer brush, which is what I typically use, this one's gonna pick up a little bit more product. So I don't wanna be too bronzy. Okay, blended. Now onto the lip and cheek color. So same thing with any brush that I'm using. I always apply mine with my fingers so that we don't have that big splay out when you apply with the brush. And then I just stamp. Circular motion, stamp, blended upward, always upward, not down, not in towards the center of your face, always up. That way you keep everything in the center, nice and bright. All right, so then I do come in with this guy, right? This is the Perfector. And I am gonna blend it out just a bit. Although I love this brush, it is not my favorite blending brush because I have the option for the blush bronzer brush. If you do not have that option and you just have the detail brush, grab you a sponge and it'll be perfection. Okay, so there is that blended in. And then my final step is illuminator. So I'm gonna put that in a few key places, under my eyes, down the center of my nose, and right here at the Cupid's bow. And that's it. So that is how you hack using the detail brush. Now, I will be the first to say, when I do my typical hack, I do use these guys for highlight and contour, blush, bronzer, blending. So I do typically use them in tandem, but you can use any brush by itself. So if you're using it by itself, go for it. If you are using it with this guy, highlight and contour will be with this brush, blending, bronzer, blush, all of the things, powder would be with this one. So that is how you use the detail brush. If you have any questions, you have, a suggestion that you have found for the detail brush, like sometimes you guys, I'll use this end to apply Bella or contour for an eyeshadow. So if you have a different use for this brush, share below.